Well, I will definitely record that. I
I do
was
have a question about that.
sure.
See if I can
Anything
get
about the
along.
course, anything you want to ask questions about? Sure. Yeah, there's a metaphysical community, and it's so easy for people to go into their judgment and superiority of, oh, well, why did you create that reality? And like looking down on you, like, what's wrong with you? They're like dumping their shame on you, and that's sad that that does happen. It's spiritual arrogance, it's metaphysical arrogance, it's whatever it is. But you also reach plateaus, you see, and like you said that you were running along really smoothly, things were going really well to us for many years, right? And many years, and all of a sudden you hit this wall. Like, why can't I get past this? All of a sudden I'm stuck here. Like, I can't seem to get over this obstacle. And it's like, it's called resonance shakedown in a lot of ways, because our ability to create is based on our vibration, our energy. And so we can create a lot up to a certain point, then there's a ceiling that we hit because of our vibration. That means that there's other things in my vibration that are holding me back. And I didn't notice it before because I was fine. And here I'm trying to evolve. The whole world's evolving. Things are moving to a higher octave, and all of a sudden, that repressed guilt or shame that I didn't even think didn't affect me in the past, all of a sudden is affecting me. And I'm thinking, what's wrong? Why are things slowing down? Why are things, where is this fear? And then you start to doubt yourself. Then you go into judgment, and then you make it work, and then you just spiral down. And then it's like I really get stuck. Instead of saying, you know what, this is a resonance shakedown, and I need to realize there's something surfacing now that I could function with for many years, but because life is evolving and lifting to a higher vibration, not just you and your reality, but all of life, and it's trying to lift up, and you're there, and you can lift to a certain level, but then all of a sudden this weight. It's like I've got this 100-pound weight tied around my ankle. That's called all this stuff in my childhood, stuff that I could soar through this like no problem. It didn't affect me, but now your soul is saying you can't go further than until you deal with this. It's like I can't go any further until I resolve this. And it was something that like it feels like it comes out of the blue. Like where did this come from all of a sudden? Well, it's always been there. It just didn't matter as much. But as life expands and as you get higher in octave and we're all evolving, then all of a sudden the things in you that aren't going to vibrate at a higher frequency suddenly get loud. The volume turns up, they get very heavy, you get sabotage, all of a sudden things fall apart. Like, why? This never happened before. If that does that make sense to some degree? So it's not like you're being punished. It's like, okay, I got to go back and do some deeper work here in order for me to lift to the next level of my being. I'm at a plateau. And we've all done that. I've gone through the same thing. And it happens from time to time. And when all of a sudden things just, crazy stuff comes up and emotions and feelings and you feel like you're out of sorts, you feel uncertain, you feel lost and confused, all that is called a resonance shakedown. It's like you're shaking out the things in your vibration that no longer are serving you. And it creates a lot of chaos. And then what we do is we put a lot of fear into that chaos. Like, what's wrong? You go into judgment. What's wrong with me? I shouldn't feel this way. I've been working on my metaphysics for 25 years. I should have my life perfect by now. Life is a continual journey of growing. You don't stop. You don't make a finish line. You're always going to continue to grow. But it's going to get lighter and easier as you do the inner work and realize, okay, the stuff's surfacing that I didn't even realize was affecting me all these years because my soul says, this is time now. You're ready to deal with this other stuff that is now keeping you from moving forward. And you have all the tools available. There's nothing wrong with you. There never has been anything wrong with you. But this is something that's too heavy for the lightness of the reality that you're moving into. So it's holding you back. And as I mentioned, a person who doesn't grow or change at all, they're not standing still. They're going backwards. Because life is evolving and moving forward. Life is moving forward. So if you're standing still, in essence, life is moving forward. You're standing still. You're going backwards. Does that make sense? So, but when you realize, no, you can't stand still. You're here to grow and evolve and become more. And when something surfaces, instead of judging yourself and beating yourself, see, that might be the lesson. How easy you go into beating yourself up when things don't go right. How easy you doubt yourself and that self-doubt. And then buying into, and of course, when you attract other people that start to nitpick you, say, oh, what's wrong with you, making you feel guilty, right, and making you feel bad, they're vocalizing your inner self. They're vocalizing that part of you that you're attracting to say, oh, see, what's wrong with you, why aren't you doing this better? They're just vocalizing what you feel inside, right, to some degree. And it really gets under your skin because they notice it. And it doesn't also fit with the image of yourself, especially when we're in spiritual realms. And that happens a lot. People will say, well, if you're so spiritual, why did you get cancer? If you're so spiritual, that's horrible to say to somebody, first of all. It's horrible. And we're all growing and learning. And there's life is complex. It's not simple. It's not simple. It's like, oh, if I meditate 3 times a day, I'll never get cancer. Life is complex. And the goal is to learn to come and to be compassionate with yourself. The greatest challenge of compassion is to be compassionate with the unwanted parts of ourself. And that is the challenge. You've been a loving person, and you can love what's right about you. You love all the good things and all the beauty and all the strength and all that. That's easy to love. But the wounded part of us, the manipulation in us, the ego in us that wants to control, the ego parts of us that we aren't proud of, those are the parts that need the love the most. And again, when we ignore and deny them or judge them as, oh, this is unspiritual part of me, I shouldn't, then it gets louder because your soul's saying, you got to deal with this. You can't continue to just pretend it doesn't exist. And it's not you're being punished. It's like, it's time. It's time. And so the key is to not beat yourself up, to seek to be compassionate and understanding. Yeah, I've been going through a hard time. Let me nurture myself. Let me pamper myself a bit. Let me be nice and gentle. Maybe go in nature and do things that feed your soul to restore you. Because what happens is we often feel like we shouldn't make time to do those things. Like, oh, that's a waste of time. I got to figure out what's wrong with me and go fix it and try to get back to being where I used to be. Well, you're not going backwards, you're going forward. And so by choosing to do it differently, coming from a place of understanding and love, can really be the key to unlock and lift you to a higher vibration.